Mr. Shakespeare, I want to be sure that we clearly understand your characters and the irrevocable choices that they had to live with, actually, throughout their life on stage during these plays. So I'm going to ask you some questions about each of three characters, and hopefully there will be a way that we can understand even more deeply how irrevocable choices set leaders up for failure.
Sounds like an interesting session.
Okay, good. Thank you. Can you tell me what Macbeth's irrevocable choice was?
Well, Macbeth is a play which really hinges on the fact that a man who is well respected by his whole community chooses to kill the rightful king. And then, by virtue of his choice, has to kill almost everybody that stands in his way. And the rest of his reign is just one murder after another, until Macbeth himself says, "I've waded so deep into the river of blood that going o'er, or turning back is actually as tedious as going o'er." And the rest of the play really is just the working out of that choice, realizing that I'm in the middle of blood and it's too late to do anything else.
And the person he murdered first, who was that?
That was King Duncan,
Okay.
who was the rightful king of Scotland.
Okay, thank you very much. Then the second character in Shakespearean play, let's focus on King Lear. What's his story of irrevocable choice?
Well, Lear is an old man at the beginning of the play, and he decides it's time to abdicate in the favor of his daughters and their husbands, and he's going to divide the kingdom between the three of them. But he plays a game, and that game is for the daughters to tell him how much they love him. And the first two daughters, Goneril and Regan, are basically nothing but ambitious. And so they tell the old man a series of lies that he believes. And the younger daughter, Cordelia, realizes that she loves the old man more than anybody there. But if she says anything, it will sound paltry in comparison to what these lies have been. So she says, "I can't say anything." "Nothing, my lord," when he asks her, "What do you have to say?" He loses his temper, and his irrevocable choice is to disown Cordelia and to kick her out of England, basically. He then goes to live with his other two ambitious daughters, and when he realizes how truly despicable they are, he loses it. He actually loses his sanity because it's so unbelievable what they have done. When Cordelia, with her then husband, invades England, she is captured and sent with the old man to prison. She dies of being hung in prison. The old man tries to save her, but too late. So she's already dead, of course, and he has way too much weight on his heart, and it breaks and he dies too. But his irrevocable choice is at the beginning of the play when he chooses to disown Cordelia, and then at the very end he dies as a result of his choice.
The consequences of his choice ended up with his broken heart at the end.
Absolutely.
And then the third and final character in your plays, Mr. Shakespeare, the third and final character we'd like to inquire about is Gloucester.
Gloucester, I'm sure that's what you said.
Gloucester. Excuse me.
Yes.
Sir.
Gloucester is a character also in King Lear, and his choice is made between his two sons. One is true, that's Edgar, and one is totally false, Edmund. Because Edmund is actually the older, but is born up before Gloucester was married, he can't inherit anything, of course. So he decides that he'll do everything in his power to get it all in his own right.
So now, let me interrupt just a second. So his first, Edward, is his illegitimate son?
Edmund.
Edmund is his illegitimate son?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to get clear. Okay.
And Edmund then succeeds in bamboozling the old man, and by having his brother run off in fear because he thinks the old man is angry at him, and it just devolves worse and worse until finally what Edmund had in mind is what happens. That is, he gets control of everything. Now Edgar has to disguise himself as a beggar and a madman in order to survive. Mm-hmm. And he meets the old man when the old man has lost his eyes to a violent act, which is actually perpetrated by the two daughters of King Lear. Edgar finds a way to save the old man, but the old man dies basically of having way too much happen to him. Too much grief, too much physical anguish, and just too much of everything. The play resolves with Edgar and Edmund having a sword fight. Edgar actually wins the fight, and the kingdom is restored by virtue of this. But it's too late. Edgar may have won, but Gloucester has made the wrong choice. Lear has made the wrong choice. And they're irrevocable. They can't solve what's already been too late to fix it.
It sounds like, in fact, in summary, I would say, it sounds like that each one of these characters gets into, makes an initial irrevocable choice, and then has to suffer the consequences over and over and over again the rest of their life, because there's no way of going back.
What Macbeth says about wading so deep is basically true for all three men. They've gone so far, it's too late.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Shakespeare. Your help with this matter is duly appreciated.
You're welcome.